Hi, this is going to be different than the types of videos I usually do on this channel. I mainly do videos where I talk about leadership, healthcare, finance issues. I talk about diversity. This is somewhat different. This is talking about business. This is talking about reevaluating how you've been doing your business, reevaluating whether the business you've been trying to do is the business you should stick with, reevaluating some of the people that you've connected with, reevaluating whether the efforts of things you've been doing are worth continuing. Because I am now 60 years old, getting close to 60. Actually, I'm past 60 and a half, I guess you say. And I'm just realizing that there are tires that I've been kicking forever in certain areas of business that have just not been fruitful for the longest period of time. I realized that trying to reach out to hospitals before this thing that's going on now in the country has been difficult. It is hard. It's hard because this is not a group of people who you can just try to reach on the telephone, which I hate, by the way, but you still can't reach them on the phone because they're not going to answer the phone. So that's just a waste of time. It's hard to do leadership unless you're setting up independent seminars and presentations, because companies don't look to do that kind of training until they have an issue. The same goes for diversity. The same goes for customer service. Same goes for motivation. These are tough areas to get into, and there's a lot of competition. And some of these folks have found ways to get around some of the areas that I've had difficulty breaking through. And that's just kind of how that is. And, you get to a point where you say, you know what, it's time to really look at everything that I've been doing and things that I've done and change some things up. To that end, I have changed some things up. I've decided, for instance, that even though I'm still going to do some videos on leadership and healthcare, finance, and whatever, I'm not going to be marketing anyone in those areas. So I'm not sending anything more to any hospitals. Why not? Back in December, I actually had 3 potential gigs going. And it was like, wow, this is pretty good. And out of the 3 gigs, only one of them did I get to talk to. The other 2 I reached out to, and they just stopped communicating. And the thing is, all of them reached out to me. And over the almost 20 years that I've been in business for myself, when I've seen this kind of behavior and I've complained about it, people say, well, that's just how business is. Well, no, that is not just how business is. Because if you do that to them, they don't like it. And I've always been one of those people who has said, don't do things to someone else that you don't like being done. And like I said, they all reached out to me first. I didn't reach out to any of these people. These people found me on their own. And then nothing. So I went on LinkedIn and I decided it was time to cull my list. I've done this before, but not for the same reason. So I've gone in every once in a while and said, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this person here and this person, whatever. So last week I went in and I got rid of 450 people. That's a lot of people. But I had to do it. Why? Because I had a lot of people on there who I kept on there because they were in one of the industries that I was in, or because they were local. Truth be told, people who are in an industry that you're in but have nothing to do with what you do, there's no real reason to be connected to those people, especially if you've never talked to them. Since probably 2008, I think that I have reached out to maybe less than 10 people first before trying to connect with them. And all these people I reached out to were people I knew, where all of a sudden I said, hey, wait, I didn't know you were on LinkedIn. Let's connect. And I knew those people. Everyone else connected with me first after the first couple of years. I was one of the first people on LinkedIn, and it sounds really weird to say that, but I was one of the first 600,000. I actually have a cup somewhere in this house because they sent me a cup congratulating me for it, so that was kind of cool. But I got rid of a lot of people because, like I said, I had local people who I'd never talked to Some who are in industries that I was never going to work with or even talk to for a long time. People who I knew that I said, you know what, I don't really like that person. I don't want to be associated with that person. I'm never going to see that person again. And so I dropped them. People who reached out to me and the first thing they did was try to sell me on something or try to get me to sell their stuff. That's a waste of time. So I said, I've got to go through this list. And I still have over 700 people that I'm connected to, which is really odd. But almost all of those people, almost all of them, I've talked to at least once. So there you go. So I went through that. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to say I'm never going to post an article on LinkedIn again. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to post something that I hope will generate some kind of information. But overall, I'm just not going to do it in those fields as often. So that was the first thing. The second thing I did was I went in and I deleted my Facebook business page. I've had that for almost 10 years. And truth of the matter is that I knew that I was never going to generate business off of that page because you can't do that kind of business on Facebook. But what I had hoped to do was post things and generate discussions because I wanted to talk to people and have their thoughts on leadership and have their thoughts on medical billing and have their thoughts on diversity. Almost never happened over all the years. I had over 400 people who had subscribed. And the thing is that almost all of those people were people I already knew. But, you know, maybe they liked something every once in a while. But in general, it just really didn't go anywhere. I had almost nobody who ever shared anything I shared on that page with anybody else. And I put up a notice saying that I was going to be closing the page and told people where they could find me if they wanted to. And I had one guy do it. One guy subscribed here who was subscribed to the Facebook thing. Casey, thank you. You have shared stuff that I put up, and you are the one person who has kept my faith in humanity alive. I thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. So that was kind of cool. And then I went on Twitter. Now I've been doing Twitter for a while. I've been culling my list there. And the reason I did it is because one of the things I've always said about Twitter is Twitter should be about engagement as much as possible. Sure, you can market on Twitter, you can share your stuff, but you should also share other people's stuff, and you should try to talk to people whenever it's possible. And it's easy to talk to people on Twitter. Back when I joined in 2008, I was talking to all kind of people, and I was talking to some famous people too. I've had models, and I've had actors who've reached out to me first, musicians. Some of those people I'm still connected to, and a couple of them I have talked to in the past. And so it was just so easy back then. Now, there are people who, the overwhelming majority of folks are never going to heard of them, yet they have hundreds of thousands of people who they're following and who are following them. You can't talk to that many people. And very few of those folks ever talk to anybody. It's amazing. You will see them pumping like 4 or 5 things out every hour, 24 hours a day. They probably are paying someone to put that stuff on there. And if someone shares their stuff, they never thank them for it. They never thank anybody for anything. They never talk to anybody. They're just promoting themselves. And people may share their stuff, but you know what I found? A lot of those people don't even read it. They see a headline, they see a link, and they share it, and they never go. How do I know that? Because the number of people who share my stuff compared to my Google Analytics on my blog or my YouTube channel don't come close. So I've been going through and unfollowing people who have hundreds of thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands, actually sometimes just tens of thousands that they're following who never talk to anyone. And I look through profiles. I will go through a week's worth of posts looking to see if they've ever said anything to anybody. If you haven't said anything to anybody in a week, you know what? I don't care if maybe 8 days ago you said something. If you've gone a week, if you've gone more than 3 days usually without saying something to someone or acknowledging someone or even sharing someone's stuff, you don't care. You just don't care about people. And a lot of the people who are doing it are sales and marketing people, motivational coaches, motivational speakers. They all say all these things. So I've dropped a lot of those people. And there's nothing saying that you have to stay connected to someone whose interests you don't share just because they connected with you. It doesn't have to be done. I have 4 times more people following me than I follow because there's a lot of topics that I'm not interested in. But at the time that I connect with those people, I was interested. But things change, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't necessarily have to do everything for business. And one of those things that started to bother me was holding on to a connection with the possibility that it could turn into business. And I know that's never going to happen. So, you know, I put this out, not basically, hopefully not sounding like I'm whining, but I'm being more realistic. And I'm saying this because I know there's other people out there like me who are in business, who are connected to some folks who you're just basically sitting there saying, you know, one of these days they're going to see that I can give them everything they need and they're going to reach out to me and I need to stay connected to them. And every once in a while I'll send something to them and maybe I'll get something. No. You know it's not going to happen. Doesn't mean you shouldn't market. It doesn't mean that maybe there's someone out there who did one time say, yes, I'm interested in learning something about that. And, you know, I've had some clients who I've met online, so that's kind of cool, but not the type where I have actually generated great income. It's been very rare. So you have to focus. Especially these days for me, since my mother lives with me, I'm, you know, directly a full-time caregiver. I can do other work around mom. You know, I'm doing this video, for instance, late at night, mom is in bed. I can do stuff during the day when she's here, but, you know, part of my business was travel. I can't travel right now. And of course, I'm not saying I can't travel because of the pandemic. I'm saying that I can't travel because it's just me and mom. I can't leave her here. And the prospect of basically having someone stay in the house for a week while I'm gone, that doesn't appeal to me. So this is just one of those kind of things where maybe some of you are thinking along the same lines, where you're putting yourself out there in an industry that doesn't seem to be interested in you. And I'm not saying shut it down. What I'm saying is think about your process, refine your process, or refine the clients you're going to try to reach. That's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say where I'm going with it because, frankly, I have an idea, but it's still in process. And until I finalize my process, that's not a place I want to go. But I just want to say that I'm still going to have some leadership stuff here. I'm still going to have diversity. I'm still going to have healthcare. I don't have a lot of visitors anyway, so I don't know how many people are going to see this. But at least it's out there, and it reminds me that I have things I have to do to progress, to find peace in my life, and to find order in my business. That's what I got. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I hope y'all have enjoyed this, or at least you watched it, and maybe it has helped you to have some thoughts on where you want to go with your business and life. You take care.